If any of you have...
I can't hear you very well.
Okay. So Nisha is Jim's daughter. If a lot of you have met Jim Calkins, the fabulous neighbor of Ellie and my dad, and so she's been in the family, extended family, as we all are, for quite some time, and so glad that she could play for us today with her significant other, Ralph. So I really, really appreciate that.
What now has already been. What is to be already is. God retrieves what has gone by. We'll all miss you, John.
But for me as a teenage boy, it was just sort of an education in life, and I got to do this with him, right? Just to be with him. And I'm very grateful for that time. And I'm grateful that he was willing to take his stepson. Now I know what that must have been like to, an hour in the car with your teenage stepson. I'm grateful he was willing to do that week after week after week. And I'm grateful that we got to grow together as he was making a living and as I was learning about the world. Right up until the end, I always called him boss. Hey boss, how you doing? I think he liked that too. So anyway, that's what I wanted to share about John.
And just I was beaming with pride and looking at him, with emoji heart eyes. And the other John was like, shit, that guy's so much cooler than. And we were like, yeah, but that was our John. His toasts, and he wrote Ellie a bunch of beautiful letters in Spain. You all should check them out. They're really nice. Anyway,
of course, John, being John, he made it extremely entertaining. He had researched the history of the area, and so as we're going along, he had all these stories about when the railroad passed through these towns and the history of that. It was just fascinating, and I could really see the ethnicity of John, the Irish coming out of him, this connection to the landscape and the history and the people, even though we're in Western Oregon instead of Ireland. I can still see that it's something that it's in his soul, and it's something that I think comes from Ireland, that connection to the land and the history and the people, and he really brought that out. And it's a very memorable trip, even though I would never do that on my own, to walk along a railroad track for so many miles, and, just in the woods and not really any particular destination. But John made it a very, very special trip, and that's one memory that will always carry.
He was kind of like I was saying before, that the kid who knocks on your door, come on, let's go play. And we did that a couple times a week for about 4 years, and I resonate with what you were saying, just kind of learning from John about how to navigate stuff, and we laughed a lot, and we did have some crazy adventures. One thing I did want to say, I was told there was supposed to be a bagpipe player here today, and one time we had a lot of parties, and it was very gracious that Ellie and John let me kind of throw some parties there, and they always were there and participated, and we had a lot of fun. One time we had a party, John and I were dead set on hiring a bagpipe player, and Eleanor was making flags, and we were making food and preparing, and the bagpipe player shows up, and like you were saying, like John, John had some type of dislike of the bagpipe player in a weird way, and I did too. We got this vibe from this guy, and because he was like, we were looking for like that Scotsman who stepped forward, and this guy was like, hi, how you doing? And we're like, okay, well, he's a bagpipe player. So we take our whole crowd of people, we all go down to the beach in our flags.
I have a collection of letters that I made copies of. And they're over there if you want to look at them. They're from 2013 to 2014, from when I was living in Spain. It's my first teaching job, and John would write me these. We wrote back and forth. he would write me these letters, and his sign-offs were really beautiful, and I made copies of them back there. They're not the original, so if you want to look through them, or even if one calls to you, if you happen to be mentioned in it and you want to take it, take it. But the letters were always like kind of all over the place, but there was always a rhythm to them, and they're really beautiful, and sometimes it would take me a long time to discern the cursive. As a millennial, I'm in the in-between cursive and print. You'll see it. Anyway, but I'm not going to read this whole letter to you, but I'll read you some of the end. I am so proud to be your friend, is a little thing that he said, I'm just seeing. But the sign-off, best years are always because you behave full of your strengths each day in an unarmed fashion. May all the saints and sinners keep you amused while you travel, teach, eat, play, and pray for others in their journey. Love always, John.
I don't remember how old I was when John and Ellie became our beloved neighbors. And there are many things I could say that I admired about John. And I'll never forget the day I came home and my dad said, hey, you gotta check this out. There's a picture of John in the paper. I wish I had this picture because it's hilarious. He was protesting in town. There were I think there were a bunch of trees that were up to be cut down. And John, and maybe I'm mixing it up with some other event, but regardless, he was a theatrical, peaceful protester. And it just knocked my socks off. I was like, I already respected this guy. And then this, I was like, who does that? Who puts themselves on the street, ties themselves to a tree, and looks completely ridiculous? And it just, so that's one of those things that I love and will always love about John.